Welcome to step 2 of our 8-week mini program, which is really just a scaled down version of our 8-step signature coaching program designed to help you develop the mindset you need to live a healthier lifestyle. So glad you could join us today. I'm Stacy Cole. I'm the founder and CEO of the Healthy Lifestyle Institute for Women. And before we dig into step number 2, I want to ask, did you do your homework for step number 1? That's where we talked about determining why this is important to you. And really, each step each week is going to just build upon the foundation that we started on the weeks prior. So if you haven't done step 1, you haven't done your homework, I'm going to ask that you go back and do that, because it's really going to serve as the foundation for you to have the motivation and inspiration you need to get all this great work done. So with that, I'm going to dive right into step 2, which is write your State of the Union address. So how in the world did I come up with that? Well, every year, usually in late January, the President of the United States delivers the State of the Union address and talks about the condition of our nation. And so that's what you're going to do with your physical body. In step number 2, we're going to write your State of the Union address. And so as we dive in, we're going to be talking about 2 different sets of data here. Qualitative data and quantitative data. So we're going to start with quantitative, and that is your first step. So I want you to pull out your handy-dandy journal that you started writing in last week, and I want you to record your numbers. Let's look at just the facts right now. So I want you to start with your weight, and then we're going to look at your height, which I assume you already know, and we're going to use that to determine your BMI. And to get your BMI, you can just go onto our main website, which is www.hliwconnect.com, and there is a page on there with free health and fitness tools, and you just plug in those 2 numbers and it will tell you your BMI. Okay, and we don't want to stop there. We also want you to record some measurements. So we're going to start with your bicep. And when you do that, I just want you to flex and record at the widest part of your bicep. And then you're going to go to your chest, right where your underwire would go, and measure the circumference there. At your waist, which is the smallest part of your waist. And then standing with your legs together, I want you to measure your hips at the widest part. And then I want you to measure a thigh, again flexed. So those are your numbers, and I want you to know your numbers, because each week as things improve, I want you to be able to look back and say, oh, look where I started from, look where I am now. So not only will your weight change, but also your body's shape will change, and so those circumference measurements will help you see that picture as time moves forward. So that's your first step in your journal, record your numbers. Now we're going to move to some of the more qualitative data. So as you do this, and I do recommend that as you record your stats each week, that you do it at the same time of day, and I recommend first thing in the morning before you eat or drink anything. And go ahead and do that with no clothes on, because you want to be able to string together the most consistent data that you can. So you don't want things like a bulky sweater or a heavy pair of boots to throw you off. So do that. And while you're in that state, the first morning, this is where step 2 is going to come into play. I want you to, while you have no clothes on, I want you to look in the mirror and describe what you see. And I want you to be as honest and as specific as you can. So I want you to, for example, take a look at your skin. Is it smooth and tight, or is it dimpled? What is it that you see? And so I want you to physically, in words in your journal, describe what your body looks like. And not only that, but while you're doing that, I want you to describe how you feel about that. Does looking at your body make you feel confident and energetic and great and happy, or does it have some other emotions that are attached to it? So whatever that is, I want you to journal about it honestly and specifically as you can. Okay, so that is step number 2 that I want you to start with in your journal. Okay. And your third question for the week is, I want you to identify at least 3 habits that have resulted in your current physical state. Now, when you start to do this, I want you to take responsibility for where you are, because that's how you're able to move forward. It's a very easy trap to fall into when you're talking about, especially talking about something that you're not happy with about yourself. It's really easy to fall into the trap of looking at how others have contributed to where you are. Events, people, circumstances. And when you do that, you lose all your power to change things. And so when you're able to take responsibility and say, I contributed in these following ways, now you have 100% of your power back to make positive change going forward. So if you can take responsibility at this stage of the game, then we're doing great, okay? So write down 3 habits that you employ that have led to your current physical set of circumstances, okay? Whether that's sitting in front of the TV with a bag of Frito-Lay chips or whatever that is for you, write down at least 3. Now, this is part of the program, of the full-blown program, where we start to look at underlying beliefs and everything, but I'm not going to do that here in the mini version. I want to just keep it really simple for you. So those are your questions. Now, if you're feeling really, really squirrely today and you want more, I'll give you a bonus question. So I want you to think a little bit differently now if you choose to take on this question, because this is going to really ask you to start digging deeper and consider things a little bit differently than maybe you have in the past. So here's your question. Have you used your weight to serve you in some way? Now that question may surprise you, but oftentimes people do or can use their weight to help shield them from something. So think about this in terms of, if I'm overweight, I can blank, or if I'm overweight, I don't have to blank. And so that's just, that's one more level that we can dig down. And that's where your underlying beliefs may start coming out. And so if you're in the full-blown program, we'll do some more work in this area. But for now, let's keep it simple. I think that's a lot to work with, and I'll go over those 3 really quick again for you. Your first step is to record your numbers, your weight, height, BMI, and circumference for your bicep, chest, waist, hips, and thigh, and use your thigh and your bicep flexed. The second is to look in the mirror and describe honestly and specifically what it is that you see and how that makes you feel. How do you feel about what you see? 3, identify at least 3 habits that have resulted in your current physical state. And then your bonus question was, have you used your weight to serve you in some way? And if the answer is yes, then describe that. Okay, so I hope you find this helpful. Please, again, do your homework, because it's what you do in between watching these videos where the real work happens. Okay, that's where the magic is. And so I will see you next week where we go over step 3, which is define your end goal based on your values and your beliefs. So in the meantime, take care. See you next week.